Welcome back, everyone, to Let's Play Supreme Ruler Ultimate, episode number 26? 25, excuse me. Let's catch up on a little with the role-playing stuff. First of all, this is from 2 episodes ago, actually, but I forgot to... I actually didn't... It skipped, it was below my radar, or it flew over under my radar, that's the correct way of putting it. For a while, and then I suddenly was just looking through to look for the role-playing stuff, and I found it. And it's another comment from our main journalist, Geopolitics. So this is called UN Chief Condemns Vietnam Belligerence. Somebody, whoever, the UN chief, demands both sides to cease hostilities as war marches on. Within the conflict in Vietnam now well into its second year, the frustrated Secretary General expressed outrage over the failure to bring France and China to the negotiating table. And that, so I'll throw my own 2 cents in, because it does actually reflect my own. Geopolitics is not in my head, but it almost appears he is, because this reflects my own, well, actually, I just want France to lose because of the only frustration I have is the situation in Leningrad, which, it's funny that no news is reporting on it. It's like some kind of massacre going on in Africa that, nobody really talks about, except for it's all the main NATO units dying to Leningrad. You'd think this would be front page news everywhere. But I'm kind of glad we don't roleplay it at all, because it doesn't make any sense. It's really hard to even put some kind of basis for it. And it is, obviously, purely from a gameplay standpoint, cleaning up the game a little bit, in the sense that we're going to have less units, so therefore the game should run smoother. I mean, this is the worst reason to want anything to happen in the game, just for game performance, but there it is. Anyways, this is a quote. The continued aggression into China is an affront to the very foundation of this institution. The United Nations was created to prevent these wars between states. The tools for peace are here, but those that need them most have expressed little interest in using them. But the 20th century is now in its 6th decade. Have we already forgotten the lessons learned in the first 5? Must the UN suffer the same fate as the League of Nations, before it did? Well, I am here to say I do not need to be reminded of the last half century of hatred, and we, this Assembly of Nations, need not collapse in the face of those few who would undermine humanity's drive towards peace. Yeah, and this is an interesting point. The fact that this war is continuing, it doesn't really... I mean, now, at this point, we can say that it's a Chinese aggression thing. We can even roleplay, because this will help roleplay our response to China later. I don't actually know. It would be interesting to see what China's provocation to other nations is. We can kind of maybe suss that out with their relations to the world, which actually are pretty... okay, so they're still Warsaw Pact friendly. And a lot of friends with, oddly enough, a lot of the British colonies. Though not Britain herself. And we've already seen a lot of the Warsaw Pact people sending troops, so we know that, yes, of course, there must be some kind of positive relations there. Okay. So then the article goes on to talk about how the French nation is steadfast in their resolve. We can kind of even tilt it a little bit more, because there's been now another 2 episodes. We've seen that things have gone very poorly for the French. They probably would be taking I would say they would probably take a defensive tone about the whole thing. Like, oh, they just keep coming. We really want a ceasefire. We are willing to overlook their initial border trespassing or whatever. I mean, they can pretend, and they probably would somehow try to pretend that this war is not their fault. That's what everyone says, right? This war is not our fault. We're just taking back what is ours, or they started it because some war 50 years ago that they... Whatever. I'm picking all these examples from the Germans. Anyways, another thing that happened in the meantime was the Midway class finished. The 2 that we were building. I think we actually added a couple more. No, we didn't. Okay, so what are we up to now? To 10. 10's a good number. I think we can stop there for now. They're not even terribly expensive to maintain, but at some point, 260. It's not cheap either, but at some point we're gonna want. Well, I guess it's gonna take a very long time for us to get better carriers. The newer carriers will be able to store more in terms of supply and all that, but they won't be able to store more than 4 squadrons. And the advantage of scoring, 6 squadrons is, it's right there. It's 50% increase in your potential power, which is amazing. So, anyways, we can see that the French South Vietnamese forces Feels weird that they're still the French Vietnamese forces. Yeah, I mean, I guess around this time they still were, even in real life. But we're coming up on the 60s, in which case, and let's speed up the game to second fastest. Again, when we're at war, I'll stay at this, but as soon as this war concludes, and this is always a frustrating thing, by the way, about this game, or kind of a weird thing. I'm not sure how this is really modeled. The fact that, like, for example, if we want to attack China, we can easily just invade from Korea. But we can step back into the Korean border anytime we want a reprieve. Okay, so spaced armor, we hadn't set a new technology because we want reactive armor to enter the queue right away. So spaced armor doesn't give us anything. Reactive armor will give us, I think it's nothing as well. No, eventually it'll give us the Bradley. It gives us engineers. This worldwide. Let's double click it. This is France. Okay, so the French engineer. Looks pretty good. 1121, 1940. This is a nice, solid unit. Pretty expensive to maintain, but it's a very effective combat engineer. I would call it specifically a combat engineer. We'll keep scrolling through this list. I mean, the BMPs are going to be... Oh, look at this. M113 IDF IFV, infantry fighting vehicle. Maybe was that the first time the IFV term was coined on the M113? So this is like... Oh, this is the Israeli... Okay, that's right. Israeli Defense Force, IDF. It's right in the name. And boy, is that a nice... This is a very strong infantry. The Israelis... I would almost consider playing as Israel in a future series because... They get a lot of good weaponry. They get a lot of good technology. It's quite powerful stuff. I mean, then you have to I mean, we can build as the United States anything we want. There's no real restriction, right? But Israel actually has to do a little bit of balancing, so that's kind of fun. So the spaced armor doesn't look like it's going to lead to anything directly. To Puma eventually, but this is a year 2005 tech. So we don't need to worry about anything right now. So we'll get the next one because that one is the important one. The Tank Tech 64. Even though it doesn't provide anything for us, it leads to Armor Designs. It's just one thing after another. It leads to Armor Design 6, and this leads to something, I'm pretty sure. Well, it leads to Leopard 1A4, which means it probably leads to our Abram. Does it? Okay, it leads to the M113, so that's already something. Does that mean it leads... Oh, it leads to the IOF-2, which is a fantastic infantry vehicle. We had a unit complete. The Ranger. Okay, so that means that we're waiting. They're waiting on me to pick this tank. And I don't know how long that has gone for. I think we missed... No, maybe it just ticked over. I might have missed an entire thing. Labor shortage, still at 2.9. That's fine, and we did our bid construction in Hawaii. So that's the other thing I want to mention from the role-playing standpoint. We had this excellent entry, as always, from Geopolitics. And Senator Tabman from Texas, also leaving consistent and very interesting role-playing posts. So he said that, this, by the way, for those of you who don't remember, and I actually remember when I see the name Tony whatever, I'm like, oh, this is the Hawk Party guy. Okay, so research breakthrough. We got multi-stage rockets. Wow, okay, I didn't realize it was going to happen so fast. So we're going to need 2 spots, which means we'll pause something. I think we'll pause the Thresher. Yeah. Pause the Thresher momentarily, just to get both of those in. ICBMs. So the multi-stage rocket, does it lead to something? Yeah, it does actually lead to quite a few things. We're probably going to have to go back through the list. I didn't prep, though. I might want to look at these off camera and then return to it. Somewhere on this list is the M. What? Oh, I didn't pause the M103. That's right. I paused the Thresher. There it is. So we'll put the Thresher up there. Anything below the Thresher we want to add? No, I think we'll add some of the other ones, like the Airborne. This Neptune I'd like to get added. This self-propelled gun. Probably in that priority. In this priority, I should say. Self-propelled gun. The M110. The Neptune and the Sea Stallion. Then maybe the Airborne, the Duster. Yeah, something like that. Maybe we should get the A4 as well. Okay, so diplomatic offer, probably for more industrial goods. But Vietnam slowly falls here, so I don't know what will happen actually when the war ends. I mean, will it end is my question. Once these colonies all fall, what happens then? I might have to go, I think what I'll do is I'll load up the game as China, and I'll release these as, well, I don't really want to do that. I'm just trying to think, how will the war end? I want to release them as puppets. Ally falls. Okay, so French Laos was eliminated. Great, so that means that is officially French or Chinese territory. You know, it's very weird, I know, to cheer on the ally losing, but... Okay, so now this is condemn government or support government. So this is pointed out in the last comments. Thanks for this comment, by the way. It's a little bit confusing. You read demonstrations are against the communist government in Hungary are growing, and you can either condemn or support. We want to condemn. I did support in the last one, and it was a mistake. I was supporting the government, and that kind of is against the demonstrations. That's why, okay, when I'm playing by myself, almost 100% of the time I just hit OK, because I'm not really sure what it means. I'm not really... Okay, so it says support the government, but we'll just condemn. I want a button to just support the demonstrations. I don't really want to condemn the government outright. It'd be like an indirect thing. That's why I guess still the right move for me is to say condemn the government. But it's not actually what my intention is. My preference is, oh god, by the way, am I recording with right settings? Good, yeah. So anyways, thanks to Geopolitics, thanks for everyone who's contributing to the role-playing stuff. It should be done just whenever you feel like it. But it's always amusing to me. My immersion from this world was a little broken just because I got a little... at some point around episode 20, I think when this number jumped past 2,000, I just kind of lost a little bit of my immersion. It's a small setback for me to like, how do I roleplay around this? And the whole thing of me wanting this whole Southeast Asian continent to fall... Oh, lost another unit time. Ah, good. So... 13 out of 13. Strata Fortress is done. But we can look at what the H has to provide. And does that mean, by the way, that the H is ready? There it is. Well, let's just queue that one up next. Because that is an important one. That's leading to... I mean, that's not just... I don't know, actually, if the H... I don't think there's anything after the H. Or I don't know that there is, if there is anything. And the H might be better than the G. Let's take a look. Okay, so 210, 180, 230. 210, 180. Let's see if I can remember all this. Probably not. 210, 180, 35, 40. 21, 18, 35, 40, 23. That's a lot of numbers. 21, 18, 35, 40, 23. See if I can remember any of those. 21. 18, 35, 40, 23. So much more expensive in terms of maintenance. The range I'm assuming is also huge. I don't know I guess the H might be a little bit faster. 136 view range is amazing, by the way. That's quite... I mean, this is patrol like levels of... Look at the frickin' missile capacity. This is a behemoth. And the only reason it's hard for me to build it is because this thing is already so good. The B-52D. It's already really good. So, it can be shot down a little bit easier. 31, 37, 33, 38. Probably be shot down mostly not from the ground, but from the air. Air interception, is that true? Actually, I'm not sure how they classify... No, it might be ground defense, which is more important. I was trying to think... If they do SAMs, essentially, surface-to-air missiles, does that count as air or does that count as ground? It's technically you're being engaged, and maybe they mean air as in like other air assets, but okay, surely they mean other air assets for this, but does it include missiles? Or is that abstracted into, I don't know, kind of interesting. So we have 30 of these B-52Ds, which are currently our strategic reserve. I think well, let's at least research the H, and we'll figure out whether or not we want to employ the H or the G, or just get more Ds in our strategic reserve. That decision forthcoming, basically. We'll need a military panel to get to the bottom of that. And right now we're currently funding the research into a better B-52. Basically, Congress is saying, okay, we'll keep investigating this. Yeah, go ahead. Whether or not that's what we want to do, or whether or not that's the path we want to go down forever, like the B-52 path. Well, we all know the B-52 served for a very, very long time, so... Hindsight, if we use hindsight as 2020, we know that the B-52 is a good one to invest in. Or maybe that's actually a kind of circular reasoning. Okay, there it is. I'm just going to say okay. Israel doesn't need our support. Supply depots were completed. And this is the big one. They don't need our support, I assume, by the way. Okay, here we go. Let's watch it unfold. Holy cow, it's a furball. Let's take the speed down. Okay, so there are, it looks like, yeah, Spitfires. Egyptian Spitfires against, I don't know what plane that is. Is it a beef? Looks like a Warhawk, actually. Can't really tell. Not that that's actually what it is, because the models are not always the same. Beaufighters. Okay, interesting. It's a furball, a real furball. We had some units destroyed. And yeah, it's the Israeli Air Force that has remained. I think the Israeli forces are pretty good, by the way. We'll find out in a moment. Oh, Egyptian... Oh, yeah. Egyptian... It was Egyptian Palestine, right? Oh gosh, we have more technology finishing too. This is going to say Palestine. Okay, so it was Palestine. But Egyptian Palestine? Was that here? Was that here? I don't know. I guess somewhere in this area. Must have been down here because Egyptian Palestine must have been next to... I don't know. Oh, by the way, before we keep going, we have improved mechanized designs. I didn't... Man, we did not... These both slipped under the radar for me. I did not look ahead. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. One of these was the gateway. I don't know if it was this one or if it was... Modern industrial infrastructure. Certainly was the gateway. Holy cow. So modern industrial... Oh my gosh, there's so much it unlocked. There's so much unlocked. Okay, so we have to go through and just basically pause every single unit design that we have in here. Okay, so particle... Now we even have to start deciding which of these is going to be put in. Okay, so modern industrial infrastructure. We know that that's pretty much any of these. We definitely want parallel computing. It has to go in. Synthetic rubber too. I mean, obviously we actually do have synthetic rubber production. That's why, in particular, our production cost is so high. So it's dropping down. It was like at 800 if you remember last episode or 2 episodes ago. The reason why it's dropping down is because now the average is lower because a lot more of our production is coming from rubber plantations instead of synthetic, and synthetic is just a lot more expensive. So, and all that really means is that this synthetic rubber too would actually still be very valuable for us. However, I don't know if it'll be a priority. Parallel computing is absolutely packet network system. So it only leads to high-speed internet plus 3%. It's a 65 technology. It's a little bit ahead of time. We might be able to drop that one, so we'll leave that as a temporary one we could drop. This leading to fiber optic systems seems to mean to me that we should do it. Although, I mean, I think we're gated by microprocessor personal computer stuff, so this one could just as easily be paused momentarily. Yeah. Okay, so it's another one we could pause. Commercial computing, we need this one. This is a must. New metals is also a must. And industrial lasers, probably also, yep, it's a must. Recombinant DNA, not super necessary. Although it does lead to, you know, things directly, so we would like to do it. We should like to do it. And then pause this design. Military production level 4, absolutely we want it. Absolutely. It unlocks a lot of things. Ah, man, we want it. We need it. Look at all these great things it unlocks. I mean, a lot of the stuff we're looking at hasn't been for us, but you can just tell. Okay, there's one, but we don't care too much about the Vulcan. I may or may not even use it. Chaparral. And the bridging stuff, yeah. Also some more missiles. Anyways, this is a very important one, so we'll prioritize it accordingly. Improved laser systems leads to laser guidance, which is gated by Air Force stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and... we need to start pausing. There's so many here that we actually do need to start pausing the ones that can be paused, which was this. And fiber optic data transmission will also pause for the moment. Because I'm thinking we have... well, let's count how many slots we have available. So there's 5 up to escape velocity and 6. So we have 7 slots available. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we have 2 extra right now. We really need globalized education system, research efficiency, and education, well, cost. But okay, this is good, this is bad. Who cares about this? We want the other one so badly, though, that we're willing to sacrifice it. So recombinant DNA, is this the one? No, that one leads to something. What is left that we can pause? Not this one, absolutely not. Okay, commercial computers also absolutely not. New metals, no. Industrial lasers, no. Recombinant DNA. We'll get back to this one, huh? This one is going to be gated eventually. It is going to be gated eventually by the modern programming line and the focused ion beam, so... recombinant DNA. It doesn't have any initial benefit either. I think we'll pause this one as well. And let's see what we are already researching. Maybe one of these can be paused. Well, frankly, that's actually a long time. 39 days for something to wait. I think it's going to have to be the synthetic rubber. Which, what does it lead to? Synthetic rubber 3, which is extremely gated. Okay. Because this is not important for advancing other technology, it's a lower priority. Sure, it is very helpful, but our main goal is to get as technologically advanced as possible. And to that point, this does not assist us. So I'll pause it, and then it'll be the very next thing we actually start doing. We'll take a look at the list. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, we need one more to be cut. What about urban renewal? No, infrastructure rating up 5% is like quite useful, in fact. Boy, I don't know what this is. Advanced carbon forms. Yeah, we're way away from that, so don't worry about doing the next urban renewal, but we'll want it for now. So we'll pause synthetic, and we'll go ahead and unpause. Now, you'll remember, maybe, because it's been so long, I expected this war to happen a lot earlier, that we had this, the Peacemaker's already based over here preemptively. I don't think that Israel is going to need it. I just like to have it. Improved mechanized designs. By the way, I don't know if any of these, was this due to improved mechanized designs? I have no idea what improved mechanized designs did for us. Can I find... okay, military vessels. That's not what I wanted. Reactive armor. I mean, particle colliders, by the way. Improved mech... okay, let's just look for it in the list. I want to know what this technology does. Improved mechanized design. Is it here? Yes. So what did this unlock? Oh, wow, yeah, this was a good one. So it does lead to Tank Tech 64, but only after we get reactive armor. Okay, good. So it's very important for us to get reactive armor. What did this unlock? Oh, the M278. M728. Ugh, I had a hard time with that one. Which is good. The M113, okay, fantastic as well. So this can basically add a lot more designs for us. I think the M113 links, can we build it? Can't remember what the disadvantage or advantages was of it. Anyways, this is another production all about, this is another episode all about research, but that's the way I like it. So we have the M113. Well, we'll definitely be researching that. Alright, so we're at 113. I'll start doing the... That one's fine. We'll do... What was the one we're doing next? Synthetic rubber. And actually, we can put them... If we don't mind doing them in this order, we can just start queuing up the other ones. I think the next one after that is going to be... Improved laser systems? Oh yeah, and... I don't know why, but the UK always declares war as well. I believe this one makes sense. I said I don't know why, but it makes sense that they want to preserve their right of access through the channel. And we're continuing to support Spain and also Nepal and some other countries. I just decided to open up the US budget for international aid a little bit more. We're really trying to promote good relations with several people at the same time here. Most importantly, Nepal. We can even do another trade with them. Try to... Are you guys willing to do anything yet? Oh my gosh, we've done it. This might be the title of the episode. This is how important it is. Securing relations with Nepal. I gave him an extra bundle of like 40 million just to try to secure this. Ah, tell me. Yes! No! Nepal's really considering it, leaving us on a needle's edge. Or needle points. The razor's edge. Success! This is truly a victory for the people. The US people. Getting a toehold into Nepal. That's wonderful. Now, if we wanted, we could just forsake them. Like, okay, well, you know what, go to heck. We already got what we wanted out of you. Which is, essentially casus belli. Against anybody who declares war on them, Nepal. And who might declare war on them? I don't know. It could happen with China. I don't actually remember if that's the case or not. So they've already signed the ceasefire. That's good, because I don't want the world to think worse of the UK, because if they do that, the world will think worse of the NATO, which is me. So I don't want them affecting it too much. Now we have two interesting wars going on. Kind of the interesting thing is also to see what happens with units going through here. It looks like, for example, like this is a Western German force, and it's being attacked by the Egyptians. That's not really good. Kind of gives people casus belli against Egypt. So their provocation is only medium. In fact, they have casus belli against us. No, they don't have any. I was looking at civilian relations. And as soon as Israel takes them over, I mean, our relations with Israel should be great. Yeah, they're almost maxed out. I mean, it's just both sides like each other a whole lot. As is historically accurate. This is our ally in the region. So we won the election victory. We won the election 34 to 27. Doesn't matter. As I said, the election's not... This is first and foremost a war game, as the developers will tell you. But I just love all the geopolitical stuff in the background. It's funny, because this is actually technically not even Egyptian territory anymore, somehow. Okay, there. Now they can actually take it outright. Good. Okay, good. And securing allies in this area is important. I mean, Saudi Arabia, look, they're not exactly who I want to associate with. I feel like the real U.S. It's probably the way the U.S. feels. I mean, let's not talk about modern times. That's a whole different can of worms, but let's just stick to the Cold War. So Saudi Arabia will go ahead and try to secure some kind of mutual defense pact or something like this with them as well, which will suck them into our side. Basically sucks them away from... I don't really care about people being on my side. I just want to suck them away from the Russian side. The Soviet Union is the evil empire. So that's mainly what we want to do, is prevent that. Now, all this will probably suck up some of the forces that are trying to go towards Southeast Asia. So I imagine the collapse here will be faster. Things will speed up. The decline of the Southeast Asian empire, colonial empires. 30 minutes. Wow, this has been a fun episode. And I guess we can speed up as well. What's the 14 out of 13? 14 out of 13 means the synthetic rubber. I didn't ever decide on what I wanted after that. So this is 1966 and heavily gated. Okay. This one is not immediately gated. Okay, so we'll add this one next. And the rest we'll add them afterwards. So you can see that, you know, if you really want, and if we had been doing this from the beginning, we wouldn't be as backlogged now. You can build even 14 research centers and really have something for all of them to do. If you're just interested, like me, in being a completionist and researching basically every technology you can. So some of the technologies we want to build, research M728 combat engineer vehicle. Not amazing in terms of combat strength, frankly, but the fact that they have pretty high defense, higher than this APC, I think. Okay, so it's 20. Not as high as the patents, but okay, that makes sense. It's a reasonable defense, and they have the bridging capabilities, amphibious and bridging, so they're pretty strong. They're not going to actually defend very well, but they'll give you some kind of combat abilities, which is nice. And most importantly, they establish bridges for you. Quickly establish bridges for you. 50. Though there are other bridging mechanics, I think the transport, here just the M104 Wolverine bridge moves faster, it's more defense, just doesn't have engineering capability, and it also has no combat capability. So this is just to move and build a bridge. Labor shortage still 2.9, but it hasn't climbed, and we did, just drop down a lot of rubber industry over here. Supply is still mediocre. I'm not really happy with 73%. But it's funny that we just really saturated the place with supply depots. And I don't know, I've always seen this. I can't really explain it either. Why it's so hard for supply to matriculate in this area. Is that even the right word, matriculate? Anyway, what I want to do is build some more. I want to build some agriculture here. And then I can, if I'm going to build agriculture, I can actually justify building more supply depots. Something like this, and then we'll do a road like this. I think everything's done over there, so we can get these guys to just move back over here. I'll solve some of the problems. Do we want to just flood this with supply? What do we have? We have 2 spots left for supply depots here. We're not watching the war going on either, so let me put one more there. I kind of wanted to build agriculture wherever I could in the existing places. So let's go back and do that. Make sure that there's no other places we're missing. Yeah, so like this, like that. And I think that these are already full. That's the reason why we can't build them there. But okay. And then we'll go ahead and build the supply depots here as well. Alright, let's see how that works out. We got the infrastructure set up to start building rubber over here. I don't think we're quite ready to do that. New alliance formed, Taiwan and Norway. Well, great. I like all the intermixing alliances. Essentially they're just like support structure for NATO. I imagine it as like if you have a building and you just keep overlapping more wooden things to mutual support, it's like all these wooden scaffolding of support for NATO. So we will accept, because again, Argentina. Actually, did Argentina already go full Warsaw Pact? Please, I believe they did. No, they didn't. But their government's going to change hands so many times that we're willing to do business with them, but I'm not going to bother trying to get into an alliance. I don't even know if it'll work. So Funny is Iran is actually NATO-aligned, and I don't know how that happened, why it happened. But since it's happened, let's go ahead and improve relations. We're gonna just chuck a ton of money at this problem, the world relations problem. Because again, as soon as we've taken as many countries as we can start going crazy and just conquering whatever we want. I do want to do that. So let's accept, almost kind of blindly accept things, but I know military goods is like the one thing, the one exception. It's like you throw away hundreds of millions of dollars to make you do that. So yeah, it is a little strange to me that Iran is such a... By the way, historically not so strange. Was it? Wait. I can't actually remember who the U.S. supported in the Iran-Iraq war. I can't remember. I think it was Iran. Because Iran was using M4s, the Phantoms, I believe, and Iraq was using Soviet craft. So yeah, I think it was Iran. But I might have that wrong, so well, I wouldn't quote me on that. So Israel's now taken this channel. The only thing we hope is that so they're destroying now the Warsaw Pact forces. But does Israel have good relations with the NATO forces in order to not destroy them? That's the big question. We don't want them to destroy French forces. And it looks like they're not molesting the French forces. This is really good news. You can see even the Soviet Union is an interested party in this war. They're coming down and sending some forces to investigate. Meanwhile, over in Southeast Asia, I believe that this is just the collapse continuing as usual. So even Ethiopia, who, did they already fully declare? Again, this is the game of politics. Yep, that was correct. Warsaw Pact leaning. Selassie. This guy is very famous. I don't know if you know him. I don't even know how to pronounce his name, unfortunately, but can we win him back in time? We see, what is it? The Rask... I don't know, there's some religion based on him being the Messiah. Is it the Jamaican people? Like Jamaican, popular in Jamaica? I can't remember. Hail Selassie, right? Something like that. I can talk at such a surface, superficial level at a lot of things, and I have like no real knowledge. So that's what you're getting here is just a gust of hot wind, of hot air, but no real substantial stuff. So what's getting destroyed here? Good. So I'm happy the Polish stuff is getting destroyed. Good job, Israel. Take them out. This is retaliation, in a very, very small way for Leningrad. In fact, I mean, if it persists, it could actually be substantial. They're at almost 3,000 now, which is absurd. Really absurd. But that's okay. Hey, Iran is a democracy. We got to look at it that way. I think things are moving in a really good direction for us. So we have 15... Yeah. The two ones queued are the two, yeah, good. Synthetic rubber, recombinant DNA. I probably should do them in the opposite order. Recombinant DNA first. Will it eventually be... Man, it's not gated at all. Okay, so we'll have to do synthetic rubber second. Because recombinant DNA does... It is completely gated by us doing it when we started. Like, a lot of technology is not available because of that. So we'll do that one first. And then another 30 days after that or so, yeah, around 30 days, we'll finally be able to throw in synthetic rubber. And probably then the packet networks and fiber optic to transmit. But who knows? I mean, what does this one unlock? Particle tech? No, this one has to go in. No, it can't until applied programming. Okay, so that's good news. We are limited here. High energy colliders. Actually, we're not too far away from doing that. I'll queue it up. 1971 technology. Domestic approval is at 30%. Probably so poor because our taxes are so high. So we'll have to look into what we can do from this side of things. Like, I think we're spending maybe too much money on something. Lower infrastructure a bit. Fireman is probably okay, just right at recommended. So 60.9, it's only $1 million. And family subsidy, I want to keep that because one of the things we want to do is grow our population as much as possible. So right now our net growth is 2.9 plus 6 point. Wow, that's a lot of births. So let's see, it's 4.7 increase because of births and deaths, and that's mainly what family subsidy is doing. And then just all our other all the other policies like healthcare and all that is very attractive. So we're getting a lot of immigrants as well. So let's call it 2.8 and 4.7. 2.8 and 4.7. So we're at 7.5 million increase per year, which is just huge. Let's compare this against China, who's probably the biggest in the world. So they have 14 million of emigration. In fact, they're losing population because of the war, I guess. It must be because of the war. Probably they are really in debt because they're, building units and everything, and it's kind of a really good thing for us. The other person to ask about is India. I think we're third most populous in the world right now, and they have 6 million. 6 million in growth from births and deaths, which if you think of it as a percentage of the population. So by the way, they have 2.5 from immigration, and they have 6.2. So that means they're 8.7 million a year, and we were at what, 6.5? No, 7.5. Wow, we're barely lower than India, which means that as a percentage of the population, our growth is much higher. Although, to be fair, you do expect the smaller countries... Oh. Okay, well, we don't have an option to do anything about this. In fact, Cuba still likes us. So as a percentage of the population, we're growing much faster. So our increase is like... I'm not even going to try to... But I would say about double what theirs is. So we have less than half the population and about the same growth. So yeah, it's over double, or at least let's just say double, around double the per capita increase. And for them, it's just an infinite growth because they're actually losing people, and that's good to see. Even though China will at some point become, I'm imagining, a friend. All right, so this is gonna get recombinant DNA in there. And as soon as it is, okay, let's check on Israel. Lots of stuff going on right now. Wait, they are attacking. Unfortunately, I saw this before as well, where Israel attacks the English forces, British forces. I really wish they wouldn't do that. We're all friends here. Not sure why they're doing it either. I feel like the solution should be just to gate or prevent AI from going through, having merchant marine going through neutral territory. I wonder if that's... I mean, if it's able to code this for the human player, we have this option. Is it possible... Whoops. Is it possible for them to just activate this? So it's allow merchant marine to pass through neutral regions. I have it turned off. Why don't they just turn it off for the AI? It might lead to situations that they can't get someplace though. So I kind of understand it. Austria. Well, we'll just maintain good relations with them. We won't probably actively pursue... They aren't fully in the Warsaw Pact, but the fact that they're leaning that way, I think they eventually will go. Just because who knows how their relations are with the countries around them. Yeah, I mean, they're not in very good relations with a lot of places. Kind of the same thing with Switzerland. They don't like West Germany or Italy. So you can kind of see what was pushing Switzerland into the Warsaw Pact and what is pushing, currently, Austria towards that same camp. Industrial goods, petroleum, industrial goods. We will accept it all. Usually the AI doesn't present trade offers to you that aren't more, relatively in your favor. So this was a really good episode. I'm probably going to start wrapping it up here, but we had the war start in Israel. We had our secured our agreement with Nepal, which was huge. I don't think that... eventually Israel will take this out. It is pretty slow going. The only reason I like to help them with the bombers, the reason why I brought them, is because as soon as you push past this little front area, more British forces can get through without dying, which would be nice. As far as the Southeast Asia war goes, it looks like China is really stalled. It doesn't look like they have any troops on the front. So I'm not sure. There might be some kind of return, aggression, counter push back north by NATO. We'll see. We'll find out all of this in the next episode. But for now, back to 2.8% unemployment. That's not what I wanted to see. That is surely because of my huge building project. I would like to get it up to like 3.2 eventually, but yeah. Okay, but we'll wrap it up here. So for now, thanks for watching, and until the next one, take care.